Thank you for joining us on today's edition of the program Platform. We're back again to continue from where we stopped, and we're looking at different issues that affect society. Definitely, these are difficult moments, but the tough get going at moments like this. We have in our studio as one of our guests, is a very youthful person, he's a young person of this, and a member of the Plateau State House of Assembly. I'm your host, YAKUBU, TADDY, and normally, sir, we ask our guests to introduce themselves when they feature on this program.
Okay, thank you very much. I am Dasun Peter, member representing the people of Panshinot in the State Assembly, and I'm the Chairman House Committee on Information and a Principal Officer, the Deputy Majority Leader.
And that's interesting. Now, you're much welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
How did you get into politics? Was it something, some people sometimes they say it was in their DNA, sometimes they pick it later in life?
It's an interesting thing to be in politics. All through my life, from secondary to tertiary institution, I had been involved in politics. I held student union government positions at different levels. I became a community leader in my own local community. And I am a trained teacher by profession, and I think by calling, because I love the work so much. During my teaching course, I had taught for 17 years, taught in secondary school for 8 years, and went into tertiary institution. And because of the passion that I have in the politics and the willingness to serve the people, I resigned from my lecturing job. I was lecturing with FCE Panshin. I left it, went into politics. It's a big gambling I did, but I believe in God.
And it paid off.
And one day it paid off. So that's why I found myself in politics now.
Well, let me ask this. This comes to you, the interventions you have made. Where you started making some things, you started your trained teacher. And I've also seen you have made very bold and strong interventions in support of education and the teaching profession, especially during this pandemic period on the floor of the House regarding teachers in private schools.
Yes, I was a teacher and I'm still a teacher, but for the short time I'm out, I will be in politics. And I know the plight of teachers, especially those in private schools. VA schools are not government schools. They treat teachers the way it will please them only. Now, during the pandemic, students were home, parents couldn't pay school fees, and it became a Herculean task for proprietors. And I feel there is need for government to intervene through a kind of a little fund that will help them. They've been in their own homes without salaries. Those working for government have been collecting salaries. Now, I feel they should have some level of privileges from government. The pains and hardship were much. So we have to pass a motion. It was supported by overwhelming members of the Assembly. Then we invited the leadership of the proprietors of private schools. We sat, we concluded and generated a template as to how they will be paid per teacher, not per school. Now, all arrangements have been concluded. Suddenly, a petition came from other sector of the private institutions, particularly those handling special schools or schools for people with disability. They were not captured. They wrote to us, and I think that is what is holding the process. The government is still trying to mediate between them to resolve it. But I feel it's important people at that level are taken care of.
Well, let's get back so that people know exactly who Honorable Philip Dasun is. When were you born and where are you from?
I am a native of Koplok village in Panshin district, and particularly in Berlin Ward. I was born on the 15th of August 1979. I was 41 August last 2 months. And I'm Gas by tribe, a Christian, a Catholic. I attended my primary school in Kaduna before I returned back to Plateau in 1990. Therefore, I am 30 years now in Plateau. And I did my secondary school in GSS Pension. From there, I went to FCE Pension, did my NCE, went to University of Jos, did my first degree, went back, did my second degree. And right now, I'm running my third degree, PhD, in 2 different courses. Therefore, I'm running 2 different PhDs. One in conflict management and peace studies, and the other in social studies, still in education.
Okay.
That's the summary of my personal.
When you said you are a teacher, you're still a teacher, and I understand.
Yes.
So you hope to go back to that profession?
I still, within you see, politics to me is not a profession per se. It should be considered a co-curricular activities. You don't go to study politics and take it up as a pure work that you will do. It has no defined curriculum. It runs the way it runs. Military can come in, you can be thrown out of government, except if you are someone who is impatient. There will be time that you will be in a position. How will you survive? Now, teaching is one thing that you can do it with any other co-curricular activities. I'm into politics, I still go back and teach. But day before yesterday, I taught in primary school. And I still go back.
In your constituency? Or
in my constituency. Okay. I am a proprietor, I'm into business too. I have a school in Pension. So I go to look at my business. I also go to the college where I left. I teach, I go and teach and practice. So it's a noble thing that I cherish.
So how do you manage this time? It looks very busy on your part.
Yes.
Going to school, running a school, being in the House of Assembly, and also volunteering to give service to the community.
It's all about planning, usage of time. You just intimated me yesterday. I had to factor this program within what I have today. So it's not that I'm perpetually in class, because it's a profession I go to touch, come back into politics. My mainstay now is politics because I'm out to serve the people. Serving the people is limited. There will be time that I will leave. 2023, whether I like it or not, it will be another time for bell to be rung. It's either I try again or I go back. That is it. So, but I don't want to leave my profession permanently.
Okay. Most times you find out that parents would want to choose for their children. This is what I want you to be, and this is what did you make a choice of your own to be a teacher, or your parents, or you saw people who were teaching, particularly role models in the classroom, and you said, wow, I have to be a teacher?
To be frank with you, my own biological father was a teacher. He died while I was 1. The one that took care of me was a company worker. He worked with a textile. He therefore was not a teacher. But we finished secondary school. My result wasn't too good per se. I couldn't go to the university. The only available institution that could take us up with a minimal number of credit was the college. And because of the proximity to where I stayed, my parents asked me to go. I went reluctantly, but I discovered that it's the cornerstone at the end.
So what would you have wished to reach? What were your thoughts and plans and vision to say, oh, this is what I want to be?
Initially, to be frank with you, I wanted to go to Butex. I had interest for technical works. But when I went into teaching, I was serious about it when I discovered that it's truly my calling. And I developed interest in it. So one thing in life is your focus cannot be the same as the situations that unfold. And God is the ultimate decider of our destinies. We can plan and He will perfect it for us.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Well, looking at your joining politics, you said you had held positions at student unions level, and so that could also be seen as preparatory grounds for what you're eventually doing now. Deciding to go into politics, particularly in the last dispensation, and how was it? How tough or simple was it? Because there were people also who held that office, and perhaps who wanted to return. And here were you from the classroom.
There is one thing with political engagement in the public. You need to gauge and assess your acceptability from the society. I had been teaching, I had been doing community service. I was an MC in my local community. Pension North is not very big. It's made up of 7 federal wards. I have studied it carefully. I felt I could go. In fact, I started the contest in PDP. Put my posters, run campaigns.
2015 or 2019?
2019.
Okay.
2 months to primaries, I discovered it was bleak in PDP. I knew the support I had. I switched to APC. I met 7 other contestants there, including the incumbent.
Yes.
Including the incumbent. 7 others, but 2 former chairmen. But God being the way he is. And I believe in the movement. I was convinced I was going to take it. You know what it means to resign a federal government job, to go into gambling.
Is it gambling?
It's gambling.
Politics?
Serious gambling.
Okay.
In fact, that is the gambling that if you are not careful, it can take away your life.
Wow.
But I went into it. We have seen politicians that have gone into politics, they lost, and they couldn't survive it. They died, many of them, even on the plateau here. Many young people, it's a thing that is traumatizing, is depressing, even when you even win.
2 months to the election primaries,
you
switch over. And politics now, they tell you need a godfather.
Yes.
You also need money.
Yes.
You also need to buy the ESCO, because some people have entrenched those people who are going to do that. So how did you manage and maneuver? Did you have a godfather?
Yes, I had godfathers.
You still have one?
I still have many, not even one. A politician, no politician, let me be frank with you, that will come out for contest and he will tell you he has no godfather. Show me the politician, go to his local committee, as you point at him, the people of his community will tell you this is his godfather. It is natural. So it's not a funny thing.
But do you at times disagree with your godfather?
Several times. I believe in myself. For example, when I was in PDP, the assumption was that I had godfather. Truly, I had many that I was hoping that they would support me. It appeared to be bleak. I ran to APC without godfather, but because of the support I had, when I moved, the godfathers rushed. There is a golden fish. They began to support. And they did. And I won.
So what are you doing with your mandate now that you won and you're in the house? How have you kept the social contract with your constituents?
You see, keeping social contract with constituents involves 2 things. The first is transparency and availability. I think for the first time in my constituency, ask anybody in pensioner, I tell them how much we earn, how often it comes, how we spend it. We have had 5 constituency meetings and town halls. Every weekend, I am with them, attending their occasions, attending their burials, their celebrations, their marriages. Now, our primary responsibilities as lawmakers are summarized in 3 different pillar points: lawmaking, oversighting, and representation. Now, if it comes to lawmaking, I have so many bills, so many motions, so many matters of urgent public importance that are even uncountable. They are there. One came up yesterday. Now, beside those ones, we have listened to the yearnings and aspirations of our people and have debated upon them in the House. Lawmaking is argument for good governance. Agitate for good tidings to your people. Now, we've been doing that. And I don't mean to brag, but we are part of this really debate in the House. And though the 9th Assembly is a vibrant one, full of agile and young people with critical thinking and sound reasoning. Now, the work in the House of Assembly, legislative business, I don't think I have much problem with that, because we actually represent our people and we attend sittings regularly. Now, back home, there are needs that the people want us to accomplish that are not our responsibilities. Like carrying out projects is for executive, but executive cannot be everywhere. We have the responsibility to educate our electorates. They don't care whether you are there to make law. What have you done for us? The level of political education is so low. So we have had to stretch our resources to see that we do some things. For instance, I have commissioned 7 projects with my personal money. 7, I have remodeled our district office, constructed 2 classrooms in Nyalang, 2 classrooms in Giling, 2 in Tinjim, 1 hospital in Belnum, 1 community hall in Belnum, and today we have attracted a contract or a project for our water in Pangshin worth $50 million from the World Bank. The renovation is there, pictures are there, the people are seeing it. Aside that, because I have passion for education, I have over 146 students on scholarship, private, I pay for myself. First term, second term, third term, The intention is to pay for them for 4 years. When we leave office, the parents will continue. Besides the employment we have accessed for people. These are the things we have been doing to the people.
Okay, looking at, you mentioned one very fundamental issue. The people are, irrespective of being a lawmaker, they only want to see projects. That may not be sustainable in the long run because unnecessary pressures may come. How do you hope that not just you, but lawmakers should navigate this very difficult conundrum that has been set by the Nigerian electorate?
We have a big task of educating the electorate now. That is where the work will be. But in every fora I find myself, I ensure that my electorates are told of the responsibilities of the three arms of government. This is what the executive does. This is what the legislative does. This is what the judiciary does. But to what extent can you continue to educate even those who cannot read and write? They don't even know what is government. Now you have no option than to push further and to be doing the projects. It is already a task that all lawmakers have to face it. When you finish, no matter the bills, the motions, the language, the argument you do to them, what have you done for us? That is the next question. They don't understand the English and the motions you do, the bills. Whether you are the one that have pushed the executive to come and do it, they want to see the one that you have done. You see, that is the problem. Even elites. And one fundamental problem we have as lawmakers is private demands against community demands. It disturbs, but it's not a thing we could say publicly.
Yes.
But every politician, lawmaker faces this great challenge. People want it to go to their own individual pockets as against community.
Well, let's get back to the House of the Ninth Assembly. And there are perceptions, even from the national level to the state level.
Yes.
You are co-equals in governance and also need to work in unison to ensure that service is delivered to the people at both national and state levels. But are you satisfied with the thinking and perception of people about the legislative, the lawmakers in Nigeria, particularly Plateau State? Each time something happens, no, the executive have pocketed this thing. And should it be war that before people understand that, yes, you're working?
There is a perception already established by the society. There is hardly any assembly that will come that it will not be tagged rubber stamp. The one that fairly escaped was the one that passed 2015 to 2019 at the national level, because it is assumed that the president never had interest in establishing the leadership of the National Assembly. So it had been fracas and face-off all through between Saraki and the executive arm. That is why probably he couldn't return. He's a very powerful politician. But within that time, they delivered good evidence of democracy to them. But it has been conflict all through. Appointments, they turn down. Budget, they reject. It's not a good omen for the government. It's a tripartite system. You work in synergy. In Plateau, there are times that we had to face the executive and tell them the truth. We fought them squarely. And there are times that decisions that are taken, we have to key in with them. For example, in Plateau here, during the Ruka conundrum, and this cattle ranch,
yes,
cattle reserve, all those reserves, we stood vehemently against that. We didn't accept that on the Plateau. The people didn't see our action at that time. Then, of course, it was not easy for us and the executive. The executive never liked it, but we stood vehemently. We threw it away. Another matter came up that we couldn't resolve well with the executive. A matter of the autonomy bill. It wasn't easy. We fought it squarely. Now, here is another matter that has presented us as a rubber stamp legislative. Elections in these full local governments in this zone. It's the will of the executive, quite right. But when we critically look at it, is it possible that these elections can be conducted? There were times that we stood vehemently with the executive. They would have to call us and beg. Now, these are issues that are hot. There were times of conflict. We stood during these mayhems and attacks. We were hard on the executive. Ordinary people say, okay, well done, kudos to you, Assembly, for being hard on the executive. When we became hard, the governor had to direct for arrest. He was out himself and is vehement about it. Things get better. And it is normal for ups and downs in governance. When it is down, they accuse us, we accept it. When it is up, we accept them to also praise us and to be happy about it.
There's something I've noticed about your own person. A few times I've met you at public fora, maybe official function, oversight. Where the previous administration did well, you gave them credit.
No,
where this one is doing. But some of your colleagues don't speak like that. And some people, sometimes I feel, would they not also begin to classify you as anti-party? And Nigeria is one place that people don't like to give credit to their predecessors and so on. But here is one person from a different party saying, oh, they did well in that area. In some other people had said, no, they didn't do anything at all. And what drives your thinking and thoughts as you represent your constituency and also the good people of Plateau State?
The people are saying, they see and they judge. You can't lie to the people. If it is white, tell them it's white. Oftentimes I say it, if it is projects, give it to JAM. We see them. We ply the roads. Our own government came and put in the street light to finish the job. The overhead JAM started it, left some, the one around Secretariat Junction, with the hope that journalists will come and finish them. It was a good foundation he laid. Lalong came and finished it. It's a good thing. We in this government have taken welfare of the civil servants with utmost seriousness. Till date, no kobo is being owned as salary, except for this month. This is just third or fourth. It's because they are even still working on improving the welfare, minimum wage. Salaries are not yet paid. If it is salaries, welfare, issues of gratuity, issues of pension, the government is paying. But projects are not as wide and as much as that of the previous administration. It's a vice versa thing. The previous administration concentrated on projects. They left salaries. It's true. But facts are facts.
And you can't resource availability too.
Yes, you tell the people the way it is. I am a spokesperson of the government. The government is not perfect. There are times that they go wrong. We tell the people we go wrong. We apologize. The people will come to embrace you. There is no point you intimidate the people every now and then because you are in the ruling party. When you are doing wrong, you still stand on the fact that you are doing right. The people see it, they judge. And it's one thing. People of Plateau are very, very, very delicate when it comes to politics. Today they are with you. In 2-3 days, they can change and you will lose their acceptance. Jan couldn't install his successor. The area couldn't install his successor. It's a pointer to Lalong. Yes. They cried, oh, the area was a problem. They brought Jan. They still cried with Jan. They are crying with Lalong again.
It's human nature.
It's human.
Okay.
So we have to be careful. Else, I need to bias this time around. Our party, APC, if we are not careful and we work hard, we may not install the next government. But with the machineries we are working on and the problems that are lying there in PDP, it is a clear sign that we can take the next government. Yes, they are still fighting. We have not yet started ours. Okay. But that is politics for you. And I'm convinced in the fact that.
As a young person, you're also looking at the dynamics. The NSAS protests were driven by young people.
Yes.
And also, there are noises about the PYC and some of the. What's your take on that? How do you look at the NSAS protests, even though people with bad intentions hijack the process? Because there are also misrepresentations about who caused the mayhem. The protests were peaceful, but those who took over, who seized it, now unleash these things. What is your thoughts about the role of the young people in politics and in national development?
I am a product of the young people. I am enjoying the dividends of votes from young people. The action of NSAS is an excellent and fantastic one. No two ways about it, and I respect it. If I were not in politics, probably would have been the one on the street. But the picture and the impression it will give may not be good. We would have been there with them. But we supported the movement. Nobody in this country, directly or indirectly, is not a victim of SARS. I mean what I'm telling you. It's either they intimidated you at some points, or they chastised one of your fellow, or your friend, or your child.
But people have said the NSAS movement is a metaphor for good governance, for the side of good governance.
It's a gateway. You see, if you have many things, they need to hit. It is what that is brought at the front corner to achieve other results. Good governance, huge, humongous salaries of lawmakers and other executives, and they need to restructure the country. But NSAS is a gateway for the revolution. And I key into that idea neatly. For the first time, we have a sustained, coordinated, organized campaign in this whole country. Without anybody.
We'll call you someday to talk about that, more of youth involvement in Nigeria's affairs. But you've mentioned you may or you may not come directly. Let me put it to you. Are you interested in 2023 coming back at whatever level?
No two ways about it. I am. I am. No politician will start and stop on the way. Except if you are pushed aside. Even if you are pushed aside, that is why I've spoken to you about the relevance of keeping to your profession.
Yes.
I didn't see politics as source of income to myself, but source of service to humanity. So if I cannot be in an elective position and I cannot be an appointed position, I will still serve the people in my profession. So, but certainly 2023.
I don't always end my program without asking my guests about family. How did you meet your wife, and how is she coping with this politics? Because sometimes your privacy is violated.
Extremely violated. I'm a lucky politician because I have a very patient wife. Extremely patient wife. Not for this woman that I have. I think if it were another lady, she would have packed and left. I married a girl that the age gap is almost 13. I got married at 35, she was 22 or thereabout. 2015. Today we are 5 or 6 years into marriage. God has blessed us with 3 kids. Then we've lived happily and peacefully. Before coming here, she had to ensure that I appear the way I'm appearing. But politicians are not finding it easy managing family with politics. It's not an easy task. But above all, we are prayerful to God and we believe in His own guidance. Not to say that at some points we don't have hitches. And as human, I have my own heroes and failures. But we get to understand and we apologize and move on.
We'll have to end it on that
Thank you very
note
much.
because that is where we show our humanity, accepting our mortality, that yes, we can make mistakes. And when we do, we ask for forgiveness and we move on. Viewer, we've been having a conversation with Honorable Philip Dasun, member representing Panching North in the Plateau State House of Assembly, and Chairman, House Committee on Information, and Deputy Majority Leader, Plateau State House of Assembly. You can watch the program at 8:30. A repeat comes up on Sunday at 12:30. And next week we'll be here with another guest. Thank you for being here on the program.
Thank you.